Gamers, let's begin. We've made it to Jungle Zone. Winter is done. Don't you hear the birds chirping? It's springtime, and it's springtime in the jungle. A place you probably don't want to spend your time in the spring. That's where when all the snakes are out, all the frogs that are poisonous, all the carnivorous cats, all the things you don't want to experience, and that's where we are today in Sonic Jump Pro. So, side tangent, last part was all about the snow, being done with the snow, and as I was recording it, the snow from the first snowstorm that we had finally started to melt. Guess what? There was a new snowstorm, worse than the last one. This is late February, mind you. I don't know what's going on. And spent about 4 hours shoveling, and I felt like the dead afterwards. And this morning, there's about an inch or two of snow. This isn't gonna end. I'd rather be in Sonic's shoes right now, hopping through the jungle. It sounds so much better. And if you didn't see earlier, Sonic dies in this. I die in this. You know, in the other part, you're probably impressed with my gamer skills, and I know they could be pretty nice, but this is where the game cranks up difficulty. You're going to see more spikes, you're going to see more level design that isn't so generous, and it's been a long time since I played this game, so death is inevitable. Now, this begs the deeper philosophical question, what happens when Sonic dies? Is there an afterlife? Is there a reincarnation? Is there absolutely nothing? Because when he dies, he comes back, you know, if you get more lives in the Sonic games. So if there is an afterlife in the Sonic world, does Sonic go to heaven or purgatory or wherever he's going, and he gets pulled back? Is there like someone saying to him on the pearly gates, Sonic, it's not your time, and he gets sucked back into like normal living life, like in a movie? It's not your time, Sonic. When it quite literally is his time. When he gets laser beamed by Eggman, when he falls into a spiky pit or a bottomless pit, or he goes through lava or something. Normally that would be someone's time, but for Sonic, I don't know. Something about his blue genetics. It's like the horseshoe crab. They have blue blood, and they've been around for over 450 million years, beating 5 different extinction events. Sonic is literally the horseshoe crab of furry blue mascots. I don't know what to say. So this is the Jungle Zone. The music's pretty funky, and right now it's raining. It's raining in Jungle Zone, and I could use that rain right now to melt that snow that we have in reality. Sonic's good. He doesn't have to worry about snow right now, which is great. Unless there is climate change in the Sonic world. It's very possible. I mean, we went from Mountain Zone, where there was so much snow. There were snowmen on the platforms, and they were lingering. So it was definitely above freezing to keep that snowy temperature. And now it's raining, so it's above freezing, it's not below freezing. And it looks beautiful. I mean, mushrooms are growing, we have trees in the background and vines. So what happens to this zone when there is climate change? What's going to happen to those mushrooms and those vines and those trees? What about in Mountaintop Zone, where I'm guessing the penguins and the polar bears live, sharing a Coca-Cola? What happens when it gets too warm? Climate change is a problem in real life. In the Sonic world, I don't know. Because there's certain zones in Sonic. There's Green Hill Zone where it looks the same. There's Mountaintop Zone where it looks the same. There's desert zones that like look the same. Sandopolis. But what happens during climate change? If there's a particularly cold winter in Green Hill Zone, what happens to those animals? That can't be good. And speaking of those animals, when you think of jungle animals, you think of ferocious beasts, venomous creatures, poisonous, nefarious creatures. And I'm sure Sonic, he's a tough hedgehog. He could survive it, but when he frees the animals, which he does in the games, what happens to those animals? Because those little animals, we're talking the things that he saves that are in the robots, that are in the cages. We're talking piglets. We're talking little birds and chickens. We're talking rabbits and rodents. We're talking little innocent things that are like woodland creatures that would help Cinderella and Snow White do their chores. So what happens when Sonic releases those little cute little animals into the jungle? Is he helping the jungle ecosystem by feeding them? Are those animals screwed? Or do they survive and become invasive species, affecting the ecosystem of the Sonic world of Jungle Zone? These are big questions. What about Mountaintop Zone? I'm sure the birds that he survives could migrate for the winter. There's seasonal migration. What about the pig? What about the rabbits? What are they gonna do when it's really cold? Or what about like really hot zones like Lava Reef Zone? There is no animal I know of in the forest that's gonna survive a pelting of lava. You know, no amount of rings or shields are gonna save those animals. So we're talking about pretty deep subjects today. We're talking about mortality. We're talking about the afterlife and I guess Sonic spirituality. We're talking about the effects of climate change, and we're talking about invasive species. This is probably the most deep Sonic commentary that YouTube has ever seen. This may be the deepest this is probably the deepest Sonic Jump commentary. I don't know, maybe people get wax philosophical when they play Sonic Adventure or I don't know, Sonic Unleashed. But when you're playing Sonic Jump, it's a pretty simple game. So because it's so simple, I have to find really abstract things to talk about. So that's what I'm doing today. Makes for good content, I think. Oh, look, an arrow that's made by rings. How convenient. So I do my best in this part to get the red rings. Hopefully I get them all. Speaking of the red rings, I asked before, should I bother getting all the red rings in these parts? And our top commenter, Jason, who's really cool by the way, said, no, don't worry about it. So, while I personally will try to get the red rings in each level, I will still try. If I don't do it, and I complete the zone, I'm not replaying it. I'm going to keep it as is, and that's going to be that. Okay, we acknowledge that. Look at those mushrooms. You know, what do mushrooms remind you in video games? I mean, you have Mushroom Hill Zone, or whatever it's called in Sonic and Knuckles, but you think of Mario. Is Jungle Zone somehow, somewhere attached to the Mushroom Kingdom? Is it attached to the Mushroom Kingdom? We've seen Sonic interact with Mario. They played in the Olympics for so many different years. Very timely because we have the Olympics going on right now, the Winter Olympics. They fought each other in Super Smash Bros. There's even story modes in Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games, at least for like the portable versions. So we know this happened. There's a story behind it. They're connected. Where do they connect? Where's the border between Sonic's world and Mario's world? Jungle Zone might be it. And I died. That's a shame. Yeah, so mushrooms. Just like toads in Mario, which aren't the frogs, and just like the power-ups Mario gets. Now, it's interesting that there's rings here. So this may be closer to Sonic's border than Mario's border. But there is mushrooms, like in Mario's border. Now in Mushroom Hill Zone, or whatever it's called, I keep forgetting, in Sonic and Knuckles, and in this game, when you experience a mushroom, you don't absorb it and get its power. Sonic simply just bounces on them. Whereas Mario bounces by himself, and when there's a mushroom, he eats it, and he gets incredible powers. Now, it could be because their biology is different. I mean, Sonic is an anthropomorphic Looney Tunes looking giant blue spiny fast Roadrunner-esque Flash hedgehog, and Mario's an Italian fat plumber who's human as far as we know, or some type of humanoid that's more humanoid than what Sonic looks like. So we don't know what Mario would experience if he were to absorb the rings that Sonic does. In the last part, we theorized, would Sonic get any sort of medically significant issues absorbing the metal rings into his body? And from what we know, besides long-lived immortality, Sonic isn't negatively impacted by the rings. But if Mario experienced those rings, who knows what could happen to his chemistry? I can only imagine. He's already been through enough. Another difference between Sonic and Mario: Mario's there for the girl. He's there for the girl. He's there to get the kiss. He's there to get the cake. Take it in both ways. He's getting that cake. Sonic, he doesn't really care about girls. And it's not because he swings for the other team, as far as we know. He just likes going fast, and he doesn't have time for that. He's not even there for, like, the simple pleasures of sex. He just runs away from any sort of romantic altercation whatsoever. Alright, so we're halfway through the part. We got those gears that turn, so it's a little bit more challenging than what we've seen before. You know what I realized? So I said this was going to be a 4-part series. What I didn't realize is there's a 4th zone after this, but there's a 5th zone after this too, which is really crazy. And I figured, for dramatic effect, in vein of like Star Wars, we're gonna make this a 6-part event to the best of my ability. So my goal is to make this a 6-part event. So when you think about epic sagas in fiction, you're gonna think of Star Wars, the prequels, and the original trilogy, and you're gonna think about B-Man JJ2 comedies, Sonic Jump Pro commentary. And if other people aren't thinking about this, show them the commentary. Guys, I do this to enlighten. It's not to have fun or make a few jokes. I do these things to educate people about Sonic Jump, about this obscure gem that is free. Some games are expensive these days. Mario Kart World was $80. The average big game now is $70. They're re-releasing Leaf Green and Fire Red, and they're $20 a pop. So if you want to get both, that's $40. 40. Now, Sonic Jump Pro was a few bucks back in the day in the ancient year of 2012, but now it's free. It's a full game. It's a full game and it's free. You don't have to worry about DLC. I mean, you could use some microtransactions to get more rings and power-ups, but if you take notes on my gamer skills in this, you don't need to buy those things. You'll be good enough as is. This is a free game right now. Knock on whatever wood I can see, in case that changes in the future. Guys, take advantage of this glorious, great game. Take advantage. So right now there's snow on the ground, as I said earlier in the part. In real life, not in the Sonic world. He's fine. Heck, it's raining right now for him. So I did hear it's going to be about 40 degrees towards like 1:45, 2 o'clock. So that may be helpful for me, so I don't have to shovel that 1 to 2 inches and ice the place. I will check maybe around 3 o'clock to see how the snow, or lack thereof, is doing. But hopefully nature could finally take its course. The groundhogs said more winter, and normally I don't believe in that mumbo jumbo. I'm a man of science, but I started to question my beliefs once this second snowstorm hit in late February, when we were supposed to be done with snow and winter. Now, thank goodness there's no groundhog in the Sonic lore. If there was, you know, what gimmick, what power would the groundhog have? Would the groundhog change the weather like Storm of the X-Men? Because that would be so funny. Sega, take notes. We have Silver the Hedgehog uses telekinesis, Shadow the Hedgehog, who's like a badass version of Sonic, Blaze the Cat, who has fire powers, Knuckles the Echidna, who flies and punches things, Tails the Fox, that spins around with tails, he flies. And if you made a groundhog character, how funny would it be if they can manipulate the weather? That's brilliant. Take notes, people. I'm all full of ideas. You know, you don't just come for the gameplay. You come for my winning personality. That's what my mom has always liked to tell me about myself, my winning personality, and I like to hope my girlfriend sees it that way too. Alright, we're almost done with this part. I think this is the last level before our boss. So we are getting ready to end. And you're going to notice there is the banking system where you could put your rings in a safe. I try to avoid that like the plague because this is getting more challenging. And any ring is precious. See, I'm going to avoid the safe. Take the red ring, avoid the safe. There we go. I'd rather lose rings in my own life, and I earn my rings by completing the stage without getting hit. So you see that? I earned those 8 rings. Now what are rings in the Sonic universe? Are they like pennies? Are they cents? Are they dollars? Are they diamonds? Like, what is the conversion rate? Do the humans use rings for money? Do they use it for their health in the healthcare system? Do the humans get rings and that's like their cure for like AIDS or cancer or leukemia or the common colds? Do they get rings? Or is that bad for the humans, like we said with maybe Mario? Is it their money? Can they store it in their wallets or their purses? Or do the humans absorb the rings like Sonic and then excrete them through their body or any orifices from their body to use it? Or do they simply use dollar bills and Sonic is special because he's an anthropomorphic Looney Tunes looking hedgehog with the gloves, with the clown shoes, and they just want to treat him special? Does Eggman use money or rings to fund his experiments? His awful eugenics experiments? These are big questions. Now we're talking about economics. We talked about the environment. We talked about spirituality. Now we're talking about economics in Sonic. This is probably the most profound conversation I have ever had. Let alone any video I've made, let alone me talking over a Sonic game, let alone me talking about a mobile Sonic game that no one talks about. Jesus. What did they put in the water for me? Because I'm just going crazy today. Alright, which hit was that? Was that the second hit? It takes 3 hits for Eggman to be finished. Because Eggman has OCD. After 3 hits, he can't continue. OCD could be a serious thing. Now we're talking about mental health in Sonic. Oh my god. Eggman most likely has OCD because he gets hit with his machines in certain increments and then he gives up for the day. If he didn't have OCD, I'm sure he'd continue this charade forever. But, you know, as someone with OCD myself, I could sympathize with the little egghead. Was that hit number 3? Is that it? He didn't fly into the background. This could be it. This could be the part where we save the animals. We're gonna unlock the cage. No key needed. I think Sonic just judo kicked it and it went flying. And now these animals are out. They're gonna be invasive species, or they're gonna be food for jaguars or tigers or something. Well, let's see what happens. Eggman gives him a point. He presses the button. He flies away. There were more animals, Sonic. There were more animals. And now we have to do this again. We have Blue Sky Zone. Yeah. And Mechanical Zone. Yep. So there's 2 more zones. We're going to try to make this a 6-part series. And that was the game. Yeah, that's it. So, folks, thank you for watching. What an interesting part. We talked about more things than I was expecting. So, we'll see you in the next part. Peace, love, toodles, and of course, sayonara.